Greetings, dear friends. Let's continue working on the basket. In this lesson, we will work on the central part. Our task is to implement this kind of structure. Let's start by creating a container. Here it is. More centered. Right now, everything is shifting somewhere. We need to fix all of this. Let's look at the source code and recall how this page is structured. It is structured using a group, and all the other blocks are already being added to this group. We now need to add a special class to this group. Let's do that. And it will attach to this class. Although, in general, it's not necessary to add a class. Since we have bugs on the backend, we have a series. For example, in commerce cards, we can specify it in the backend. In commerce cards and VIP block groups, we can do it this way. And that's probably what we'll do. As a diversification, I'll show you another method. Because on the cart this class will always be present, it is generated automatically by the commerce system. But the point is, where should we write this code? It should either be loaded on all store pages. However, it makes more sense to show it only in the cart. I won't attach it to a specific block, because this block is not only called in the cart. Therefore, it would also load a lot. CSS. I will create a separate CSS file and load it for a specific section. So I go down to the template. In the template, I create a separate, well, the template is below. Here's the template here, a separate CSS file. I'll name it WooCard CSS. And in this CSS, for example, body. Next, I'll take, for example, this class WooCard and add a selector. My task was to reach this group. To this group. And let's see if I reach it. Flex is there implicitly, but it's positioned somewhat strangely. Let's try adding flex direction columns. And now they will be from top to bottom centered. Therefore, this is the first property I add here. And I will use this file to write styles for the cart page. Now we need to load it specifically on the cart page. Let's move to the function. We have function that loads them. Here they are, our functions. So let's check them. And to determine the cart page in commerce, there is a function from the map, and it returns true when we are on the cart page. So I will execute the entry of my script within this function. And when loading it, it will have for me the cart ID as an identifier. And as the name, I also pass the path to the file like this. And we don't change anything else. So that's the first thing. And secondly, we also need to load it in the admin panel. So we'll use this function a and load it in the admin panel as well. Let's first load it through this editor. And through enqueue, so that it would also work out this way, because this elite was only set on the Gutenberg page. They will load it. Dependencies are not needed here. We leave an empty array. Everything else remains as is. So let's check. Let's refresh our site. And consequently here we get, okay, something shifted here. Something shifted. And because of what it shifted? It's because we can't attach to this group, since this group is everywhere. I somehow said it but didn't think about it. Of course, this won't work for us. We'll remove it from here. We're doing this. We will now attach to a separate class. But in any case, we definitely need the file. So remove. We remove this style, refresh the page. Here our header is back, but we add a class. So once again, through the editor, we refer to the cart. We find the group. Here, essentially this is our class, and here Carpage creates some kind of container or not. Let's look again through. But as far as I can see, Carpage is just a wrapper, but it doesn't create any container. And if I try to add some class to Carpage, let's see where it will add it. Will it add it to the group? You see, it indeed comes here to the group. But consequently, then we will call it Game Store, Carpage, page, and copy it. Here we will save return to, more precisely, everything with the file not HTML. And flex direction. Then in the detailed column, further in the process of analysis, besides that, we will also create wrappers, because right now we don't have a wrapper directly on this block. We'll set the width to 100%, maximum width to 1540 pixels. Left, auto, right. So great, we've implemented the container. Now, we'll think about what to do with the blocks. So, if we look at the design, we see it's very similar to what we have according to the data. Here, larger. That is, we have an image, we have a title, price, discount, descriptions, a button with a counter. Basically, we have the same thing here. Exactly the same. Here we have a slight difference. We only have the price, but we need to add something else. And this difference is also present. This will need to be hidden on the right side, basically. There are no differences. Only the style needs to be inserted so that nothing jumps around. So if you have such an implementation, that's good. We can add additional data using custom CSS styles with JavaScript. To add extra data, for example, this word to be inserted, because by default it's not there. Currently, this page is built on a block. And if we try to see how WooCommerce builds it, let's take some class. Let's assume this class for the item. And globally search for it. Let's see what it finds for us. And I think you all expect to find a template file. But since these are blocks, there won't be template files. We only have CSS and DS. And let's open some JavaScript file. And we see, yes, the class is there, but here it's all gibberish. It's impossible to understand this and edit something. And this gibberish is the compiled blocks. It's everything we write. This is how it compiles. This is the form in which the server understands everything. We cannot edit anything here, meaning technically we don't have the ability to edit this area. Only through such external injections, and by using JS add something and override with CSS styles. But in our specific case, we're lucky because it's very similar and we will do it, that is, we will implement it. But what to do if we, for example, have a different cart design, a completely different structure, maybe there's no image or the image is on the right. How do we handle such cases? I proceed as follows. I load the classic cart. The classic cart is built on PHP. And let me simulate this by going to the page. And for the cart page, I open it. For example, inside or not inside, or at the end of the basket. I also short from, and in shortcodes, either I write shortcodes manually or in the camera. It provides two shortcodes for the classic cart and checkout, and I insert the cart, and below on the same page, a classic cart is generated. I save. refreshing the page. And if I scroll down, I see the old cart, which is present in all classic themes for WordPress, but on sites built with the classic approach. And now this cart can be customized to your liking. I will show you now, in case you haven't done this before. There is a special directory specified. So if we go into plugins in e-commerce, templates, there are templates. Essentially, if I rename this folder to e-commerce and place it in the root of our theme, it will first take the templates from these files. And all the PHP files that are here, it will first look into our theme. If there is a template there, it will use it. And with this method, we can override the default templates. And consequently, there is a cart directory. And in this directory, we see all the necessary files for customization. In other words, let me try to drag this cart file here into the editor. Next, I will try in our template. Let's collapse the plugin here because the plugin is currently open in our template. Game store roots. We need to create a directory in the theme, name it. Then in this theme, we should use the same directory structure, cart. And in this cart directory, we need to create this PHP file. And insert into it this code. We don't need it anymore after that. And this code, and not just this file, but any file in general. I'm just talking about the cart right now. For example, we have this component here, right? We want to remove it, but change the structure or edit it. Here I am editing its name. And now, when I refresh this page, you see, I'm already using the template from Game Store, but not the plugins template. And this approach can already be used by rewriting all the other code, implementing absolutely any of your own layout, your own logic in PHP. Everything you need you can implement this way. Cookies, use in PHP for example. And I'll show you one more thing, how to use hooks with blocks, but just a little later. And use this approach. We don't need it for the lesson because we have a lot. There will be a lot to edit here. We will essentially be recreating what doesn't exist. Well, what we need is up here in the block. But for general development, so you understand how to customize when you need something very custom, you need to apply this approach with the classic file on the stove. I remove it from here, I don't need it. The same applies to checkout. Moreover, from practice, I can say that checkout on real websites, most likely you will switch to the classic one because there are many payment system aggregators and there are many plugins, ready-made ones that connect your store and the payment system are built with a classic block and a new block-based block. They kind of don't work and you need to switch to the classic one. So we remove that, but here consequently this quantity will return back. Since the file is no longer there, you see. But we will remove this block from the page. We don't need it here. Moreover, we will remove the excess. This block should not be present here. Here's the cross sales. We remove it because we haven't acquired any statistics in the database. We only need these two columns and it is already filled with data. We do not edit the empty card, we leave it as it is and save it. Let's try to add basic classes and understand in our block the entire structure, what we can attach to. So we have a content block. Let's try to override its width. And by the way, here we have the CSS code itself. Then we'll get to this class. And we'll assign it the following styles. It's Flexbox, but it has these paddings. We will reset these paddings since we have a 24 gap here. So we'll set 24 pixels for the elements inside. And of course, it's risky to attach by classes like this, we don't know. In general, where else they are called. Therefore, we'll strengthen the selectors with such an additional longer selector so that nothing gets overridden here. We need to update on the left. Then further, we will need to set the sizes. With this block, we'll also set flex, direction, row, align items, flex, start, justify content spaces between. Our sizes will be this 1021. This one is approximately 495. Let's look at it this way. The main content will have a width of 100% minus 495 and minus 24 pixels, while this one will have only 495 pixels. That's great. Next, the boxes have styles like this. I believe they both had the same class. I'll extract and check this. They don't look like in the COMMAS cards, but here with the block, it's the total block. Then we will make blocks like this, such as these, which we have inside. So far, so good. You are 24 pixels. And of course, further, the routine will take a long time. I'm not sure I'll manage to write all the styles to the end, but we're doing it for now. As long as we have the strength, we do it. Next, this needs to be hidden. This is a table, so in this table, this tag just needs to be hidden. Further, here, we reset the polling and then supposedly interrupted them. We can probably remove this now, since there will be 24 polling and it won't matter much. So we'll remove the same thing here. No, here you. When we do it differently, we won't remove it, but we'll interrupt. Like this 24. Just in case, set here. So further inside there are some styles. So we don't have any line. Let's remove this line. Get rid of it. Not on it. Here it is on this element. Next, also reset the paddings. Wonderful. Let's try to set the necessary sizes for the image. Doen voortrekken. By 340. Spartan. This is not for us. So here, we'll set the sizes on the link. And we probably don't need this here. We need to strengthen the selector here because for the button, in the commerce, a stronger selector doesn't catch its style, like this. And then on hover. Let's add I add these styles only for visual, some kind of perception. I'm not going into any details right now because it's very time consuming, guys, to write everything neatly. I only do them superficially. To closely approach our result, but I will stop in the very near future, very soon, perhaps even imminently. Because the principle is clear to you? Yes, this is the kind of approach we use. Let's see what else interesting we have here, but maybe like how to add such values. So in this case, I create a separate JavaScript for the cart. In the template, connecting it just the same way I connected the styles. Right here, this JS file will be connected, and consequently by the selector, into this container, into the parent, for example, or here somewhere, I would add this text, and this applies to any element. If you need something to insert and place into the current WordPress block, and you have nowhere to edit its source code, then with the help of JS, you can make such an insertion. Regarding styles, with CSS, as you have already seen, you need to take and override styles. If you need to add an element that is not there, then you must return to the classic approach, and through PHP files, there is no other option. I don't know. Well, and probably we'll end this lesson here. I don't think it's important to explicitly write out all the styles here. You should implement this on your own as a homework assignment. See you in the next lesson, where we will work on the bottom box slider for the card page. See you in the next lesson.